Thanks for joining me for today's short scale study. Today we're going to go low with concert F major. So let's talk about the notes we're going to need for concert F major. We're going to start with our low F fingering, which is 1 and 3. Then G, which is 1 and 2. Our A natural is 2. And we'll play a B flat fingering here in the second measure, C, D, E natural fingering, and then an F. Let's jump into number 1, major scale and arpeggio quarter notes. Our first note will be low F. Here we go. 1, 2, ready? Did you get the E natural in that scale? It was the 7th note and it's fingered with a second finger. Let's move on to number 2, major scale and arpeggio, 8th notes. 1, 2, and ready and go. Right, now we'll move on to our major chords. 1, 2, ready, Now we'll move on to the study called thirds. In this exercise, we'll be exploring some of the upper range of our baritone. We'll be using the A natural as our second note, and that's a 2, second valve. Okay? Another note that we're going to need is the high C, the ledger line C, and that's a first valve. So pay particularly close attention to those two fingerings, A natural and high C. Here we go, thirds. 1 and 2 and ready, Good, that went by very fast. So if you need to pause and redo that exercise at a slower metronome mark, say 60 or 50, go ahead and do so. Or go the other way. If you need to pause and do it at a faster speed, say 80 or 90, that would be great too. It builds your technique and you want to be able to do it at multiple tempos. Let's move on to our chromatic pivot scale. Our pivot note today is that high C, first valve. The next note is B natural. That's first and second valve. Then back to C and then B flat. That's 0. Then back to C and A natural. Then back to the C for the dotted half note. After the quarter rest, we have C and A flat, both first valve. C and then G. G is 1 and 2. C and then F sharp. F sharp is our 2-3 fingering. And then we're going to finish with C and F, open F. Let's do our chromatic pivot scale. 1, 2, ready, Great. Now it's time for our chromatic scale. Let's review the names of the notes of the sharps going up the chromatic scale again. We've done this previously, and remember, the fingerings are also in the guide at the end of the book. So we start out with our low F, 1 and 3. then F sharp 2 and 3, G 1 and 2, and G sharp 1. In the second measure, we've got an A natural 2, an A sharp, which is like a B flat, 0, B natural, 1, 2, and 3, and C. In the third measure, we've got a C sharp, 2 and 3, and then a 1 and 2 D. D sharp is 1 because it's like E flat, and then our E note is our second valve, second finger, E natural. We end with a whole note F. Use your fingering guide for the flats if they're unfamiliar to you. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, And let's finish with the chorale. Remember, we're going to need A naturals and E naturals, and they are second valve, both notes, A natural and E natural. 1, 2, ready, begin. So there you go, Concert F Major. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed playing along. Consider playing along with this study and the other ones again, and then move on to some of the new ones that you haven't experienced yet. As I always say, I'll see you again soon. Keep practicing.